All right, good day, everyone. It's CJ, and we are live today about today's guest. Today's guest is Frederic Montagnon. Now, you may not know about Frederic, but at the end of this interview, you're going to because he has been doing some very creative things as it relates to the blockchain and the cryptocurrency industry. So, Frederic is the co founder at LGO Cryptocurrency Exchange, and he's also currently the chairman of the board at Arianee. So, Frederic, I know I've left quite a bit out about your extensive resume, your bio. So, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself for our listeners, please?
Yeah, of course. So thank you very much for having me in this interview today. I'm really glad to have this opportunity. So I'm an entrepreneur, French entrepreneur, obviously. I think you hear that in my accent. For 20 years, I used to be really involved into the media and ad tech. So ad tech is all about advertising and technology. For quite a while. So I was the co-founder of 3 companies before I moved to New York, and I sold those companies for a little bit more than $400 million. And since I invest into really early stage company, I had the really opportunity to invest into blockchain startup and cryptocurrency quite a while, probably 6-7 years ago. I'm really involved into that community and market for a very long time. And I was waiting actually this market and this technology to be mature enough to launch some project myself. This is where I ended up founding LGO. LGO is one of the first regulated and totally compliant exchange, primary for institutional investors. So we want to make sure that we bring the level of security, transparency, fairness that the professional and institutional market deserve. And we've done an ICO for that, which was quite successful. We raised $35 million earlier this year. And we decided to launch, first of all, of course, this platform for institutional, but also to launch retail products that we'll announce and we'll launch next year. So this is for LGO. And the second project I'm working on is arianee. And we'll probably discuss that deeper in this conversation. arianee is a very B2C application. We want to digitalize the certificate of ownership and authenticity for real assets. So we think that there is an opportunity, thanks to the blockchain, to create a digital entity for every single real asset, and make sure that when you own something, when you want to demonstrate that you own for real something, and this asset is authentic, you can demonstrate it through a digital certificate, and the blockchain actually makes sure that there is no duplicate of certificate, and that no one can modify anything unless the owner of the product itself. So that's basically what I'm doing today.
That's excellent. So I love your background. I love everything that you've shared for our listeners. So there's no doubt that someone has the experience, the credentials. It sounds like you've had tremendous amount of success with LGO Exchange, getting that project launched and started. Now, real quick before we jump into arianee, I want to specifically ask now LGO Exchange. So with that, you were talking about that there's potential for retail. So what does that entail as far as retail products or people that come forth with a retail item? How does that work, Frederic?
Yeah, of course. So the basis of the concept, the ideology and the technology of LGO is to make sure that when you are buying, selling, or trading a cryptocurrency, there is a full transparency on what's happened behind the scene. What is very astonishing in this market is that even if the blockchain technology and the cryptocurrency is made for bringing transparency and security, the exchange themselves, so the place where you buy and you sell, are really opaque. So when you are on most of the platform, not to say all the platform, when you are buying at a certain price, you have no idea if the seller on the other side has sell for the price that is that is indicated on the screen.
Okay.
Just because those exchanges doesn't bring any clue on that, and it's a real problem, because this is where all the market manipulation, so manipulation of price, can happen. So if you don't have this level of transparency, you can do whatever you want with your traders. So at the end of the day, if you see on your screen that you can buy a Bitcoin for, let's say, $6,000, you have no idea if this is a fair price or not. So we have designed a technology based on the blockchain itself. So the blockchain is made for that, to guarantee that no one can cheat the system, and that the platform, so us, cannot manipulate the price. And this is the first time that a platform gives for these users this level of transparency, to make sure that you can demonstrate really accurately that the price you pay is the correct price. So okay. Now, for the institutional investor, it's very something important, because the regulation and the regulators everywhere in the world want to check and to make sure that when an institutional investors buy for his customer some assets, you want to make sure that no one is just front running the price and make profit out of it without no one knowing. So it's very important for the regulation, for the regulators, and for the market and the institutional market. But at the end of the day, there is no reason that the retail market cannot benefit from such a technology. So the core value will market and will have with LGO exchange for retail is definitely to make sure that even if you are a really small investor, really small player on the market, you will be able to verify everything by your own. So you will be able to check the log, to check everything, because we'll give you the full transparency into what's happening on the platform.
Excellent. That's great information. So thank you for that. And then also, I'm very excited about your newest project and you're launching, because I love the idea. I love the concept regarding assets, whether it's a nice watch, or perhaps it's a nice piece of artwork that you have. So why don't you walk us through a little bit about your new project with Arianee, and specifically how that's going to work?
Yeah, of course. So the concept of arianee is to help the brands build digital certificates. And the idea behind is that we want to make sure that the brands can virtually connect every single asset, even if it's not a connected asset by design, to a network. The idea, if you want an example today, if you have a smartphone, this smartphone has a serial number into his chipset. So when it connects to a network, you only have one smartphone with the same serial number at the same time. It's your smartphone. And if ever at one point someone steals your iPhone or your Android phone, you can just notify the network that this mobile was stolen. And then you can deactivate it. And no one will be able to reactivate on the network your smartphone unless you reactivate it yourself. So that means that for smartphone today, the most important thing is not the physical assets at the end of the day, but it's more your access to a digital identity of your smartphone. And thanks to that, today there is no theft of phone anymore, because there is no use actually to steal something, to steal an iPhone, because unless you just sell a piece of this iPhone, but the overall product cannot be used anymore as soon as someone declares on the network that it was stolen. We want to do that for passive assets as well. And the way we do it is we create a platform. So this is arianee, which is a protocol to help the brands create a digital certificate for, let's say, a watch, a purse, whatever is valuable. The idea is that, especially in the luxury market today, the most valuable asset already have a serial number into it. So it can be something written on the packaging. It can be RFID. It can be a hologram. There is a lot of different technology to serialize So to put a serial number onto an asset. So we take this number and we create what we call a non-fungible token attached to this asset. And the idea is it's a piece of the network, of a blockchain, that represents this asset thanks to its serial number. Then, exactly the same way that a Bitcoin belongs to someone, this digital representation, so this token that represents a real asset, will belong to someone and will be stored into a wallet. So our vision is that in the future, you will have on your smartphone all the certificate of authenticity and ownership of all your valuable products that will be stored directly into your mobile. And for each of these assets that you own, you will have a digital representation. So at the end of the day, digital certificates that no one can duplicate, no one can steal. So even if someone steals your watch or if you lose it, the certificate will continue to belong to you. That means that we can replicate the same concept that we have today on connected things to passive assets. Doing that, we offer a large number of different features. The first is that when you are about to sell one of your assets on a second-hand market, you can demonstrate that you are the owner first. It's an important thing. And that secondly, this stuff that you have, this asset that you have, was produced by the real brand. So that demonstrates the authenticity of the asset. The second thing that we offer is the ability to declare directly onto the network that someone was lost or stolen, to make sure that if ever someone one day is about to buy this asset, it will have the opportunity to understand and to know that this asset is not legit. So someone has stolen it, or it was the owner that is not the person who is about to sell. We think that it's probably a good opportunity to slacken dramatically the number of thefts and actually crime around valuable assets.
Sure.
And the last thing, and I think it's the most important thing, is that as soon as actually you have a digital representation that is owned onto a smartphone, you create a digital link, what we call a smart link, between the brand and the owner of an asset, respecting total anonymity. That means that if you want to communicate as a brand to the owner that owns one of your valuable assets, valuable products, you will be able to do it. And today, it's something that is not possible, just because most of the really high-end products, the brands doesn't know who they belong to. So for the first time, we will actually connect those assets to a network and offer the ability to build software on top of it and make sure that you can create a communication between the brand and the owner without having to collect personal information onto who is the owner of the product who belongs to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the thought process behind it. And specifically, if you think about the amount of counterfeiting that occurs, right, globally,
Yeah.
It's in the tunes of millions of dollars right now with these counterfeit products. This helps not only protect the manufacturers, but also the consumers, right? Because the last thing that you or I want is to order an item online or purchase an item without some type of authentication that is not being able to be reproduced. And this potentially could solve that problem, ensuring that when we do order that Gucci handbag or that Rolex watch, that it's able to be validated that this truly comes from the manufacturer. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Counterfeiting is definitely one. It was the first application we thought about, and is very important. But I think that the communication capability is even more interesting for both the brands and the owner, because having the ability to directly ask a question to the brand who manufactured one of the products you buy is definitely something that has a limited value for both the brand and the owner. We are now in a world where people really care about their personal data. And it's more and more difficult for brands and also for users to share their data. They don't want to share their information, personal information, with the brand they like, just because there are so many hacks and so many problems with personal data that today it's a really important issue. You probably heard about GDPR, which is a regulation about personal data in Europe, which is happening today. So we need to find a way to connect companies, brands, and owners, consumer, respecting this problem of personal information. Definitely, arianee is built to solve this problem. So you can own an asset, so own a watch. You have the digital certificate for this watch. You have the ability to connect with the brand, with the manufacturer, but at the same time, you will never share neither your email address, phone number, whatever, because the blockchain technology and the arianee protocol is just here to make sure that there is no share of information. So you can communicate with from the brand to the owner, but neither the brand and the owner needs to know who is behind. So that's an important thing as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's jump a little bit into the team behind the project. So obviously, you're the chairman of the board. What other team members are involved in helping to spearhead this effort?
Of course. So we have the ex-CMO of Omega, which is one of the most luxury brands of watches. She is in the market for forever. We have two of the co-founder of a company called Vestia Collective. You probably don't know Vestia because in the US it's very small, but you probably know Real, which is a second-hand.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the equivalent in Europe. They are leaders. This is a company who used to raise $160 million to grow. So it definitely is a leader in the industry. We also have one of the ex-VP of Tiffany's & Co. We have people who are really connected with brand forever, whether it's in the luxury, automotive, etc. We have really talented developers as well, people who are involved into the cryptocurrency community for a very long time. We also have developers who know how to build a protocol and how to scale a platform. So I think we gather in the team all the skills and the know-how and the experience that we need to move forward. And I think it's quite unique because in this, I think that this market is very, of course, young. It's still probably a bubble at that time. And it's exactly the same situation that we used to have on the internet back in the 90s. So you have a lot of people who are skilled at developing, but they don't understand the industry, the problem of real industries. And at the end of the day, if you are not able to bring on board people who know the technology and people who are coming from industries where you want to solve problem on and where you want to build product for, it's very difficult to end up with a valuable product and an activable product from the industry side. So I think we have the chance to have both. So we have really top-notch people when it comes to blockchain development, and people who know the luxury industry and all these brands and know how to create a value proposition that can be used for them, a business model that is acceptable for them, and of course how to convince those brands to test a new technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's just jump into where are you currently in the stage of development? I have the page brought up a little bit that you've started the initial private coin offering. So why don't you share a little bit for our listeners about where you're in development, and then likewise, how individuals can get involved with it as well.
Of course. So we have a prototype up and running for quite a while. So of course we are working on many features, but the prototype is live. The most important thing is how we can, how the brands are involved into the process of testing and designing with us this protocol, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is not even the technology, but it's the ability for brands to use this technology. So today we have the chance to have 4 of the major luxury group in the world who joined the board of arianee. So we have top executive who represents these brands in our board. So we built with them the right protocols. So we go back and forth with them to make sure that what we design is something that really solves the problem they have. And today we have 3 of these 4 groups who are working with us on a proof of concept. So we'll announce and we'll launch that. The first will be in October. The second one will be in November. But by the end of the year, we will have 3 proof of concept live with product registered into the blockchain at scale. So this is where we are. We just announced and we just published first piece of code because when we are building such a product, you need to give transparency also to the community and to share with the community what we are doing to make sure that experts can audit the code and can see how it works. So this is where we are. And now you mentioned that we are doing an ICO. It's not the most important thing, but what we want to do by now is to involve as much people as possible. So we started with gathering people from the industry, so top executive from brands. So it was definitely the most important thing to do.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing is we managed to have people from companies who are direct competitors to each other, which is very hard to do, especially in the luxury industry. It's very hard to gather people who are coming from these different groups. But this is what we managed to do. And now what we want to do is to build a really strong community all over the world with people who really care about this technology and these applications. So we started actually to pitch the project everywhere in the world. And today we already have people who invested into the protocol from Korea, Japan, China, Russia, US, Europe, etc., etc. So the beauty actually of this platform and of the market we are targeting is that it's a global market. The brands who are in this market are global as well. They all have the same problems. The problems are global. The solution is global as well. So we want to be a global company from day one. And for that, of course, we need to have the brands. Of course, we need to have the technology, but we also need to have users who believe into what we are doing and who participate actively with us as being ambassadors of the technology, ambassadors of the brand. And this is what an ICO is about. So today we are working on gathering as much people as possible to demonstrate that people care about that, that the solution that we bring to the market is valuable and supported by brands and by users.
Absolutely. Love the model. So, Federico, terrific information. Very excited about your project. Please share your preferred information, how people can learn more about yourself, about your project with arianee. I have the websites brought up. I'll make sure to also list those in the description of the interview. So again, I firmly believe that this is a great opportunity, and specifically with manufacturers. And if you could bring the manufacturers together to find a way to secure those items and keep them from the counterfeiting, I mean, that's going to be a huge accomplishment. So please share with our listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn more about your project.
Yeah, of course. So actually, on arianee, you have everything you need. So there is a small box at the top of the page where you can contact us. We read every single message. Of course, you can write to us. My email is Frederic with a C at arianee.org. And definitely we are responding to every single message we receive. LinkedIn also. So feel free. If today, at the end of the day, what we want to do is to gather people who want to participate. This is not a traditional company that we build. We are building protocol. So if you are developers, if you are into this market, if you take care about innovation, etc. So we have a lot of people who are contributing to this project in different way. So we are happy to discuss every single collaboration.
Excellent, very good, Frederic. Thank you so much. So for our listeners, please make sure to like. Please make sure to please make sure to share. That way, and again, with our audience, maybe there's someone there that perhaps is tied directly into the industry that would want to get involved. So, Frederic, thank you so much for a great interview. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.